Hey everyone, it's Bell again with another video for 7 Deadly Sins Grand Cross. Now we're going to be talking about the gear. One of the most complicated things I encountered when I started playing this game in JP was how the gear system works. Not only are there multiple gotchas involved, but when you start out, obviously you're not going to have the materials to get the SSR type gear. So basically what you want to do, since your left side has more of the main stat than the right side, you want to go ahead and start collecting SSR gear for the left side and common or rare gear for the right side. The reason for that is whenever you do have the materials and everything to get all of your gear SSR, you won't be sacrificing much by getting rid of these right side gears. Because since they're common, they're not going to require the best materials to get there. And so basically, you have ultra rare, SSR, SR, rare, uncommon, and common. Each set of gear has various substats that you can roll. Most of the substats for the top, mostly what you want to roll is the attack substat. For the middle row, your necklace and your earrings, you want to roll a defense substat. For your belt and your orb, you want to roll an HP substat. Now, this stuff can vary depending on the character later in the game, but this is just the basic way to do it. For example, characters that rely heavily on a certain substat, you're going to want to buff that one instead. For example, Valenti's passive takes advantage of her endurance substat. I'm not sure what endurance is going to be called in global. So for example, instead of rolling this necklace for defense, I rolled it for endurance on Valenti to take full advantage of her passive. Now when you're rolling these gears, the first thing you're gonna want to look at is if it's even worth keeping, because every gear comes with a random main stat. That's this top one, and for this bracer, you can roll between 390 and 520. Now, this is rolled automatically when you obtain the gear, but you also have a chance to re-roll this with gems. In certain situations, it might be better to farm for a better piece of gear instead of spending your gems to re-roll. When it comes to the substats, you're going to have two ways to re-roll. I recommend using these anvils that you get through certain events in the game. And then once you get the preferred stat, these are all in Japanese, but if you're playing the global version, it'll be in English, obviously, or whatever language. Once you get the desired substat, and let's say you get 1.2% out of a total of 3% on this specific substat. Each substat has a different range. But once you get the substat that you desire, you click over here on one of these hammers, and it'll actually increase the substat. Now, I'm just using this as an example, but there are events that guarantee you better success on these substat rerolls. So I would suggest saving all of your hammers for those events. Now, as you can see, it only got me a couple of points of percent. So that's why you're going to need to wait for that event for better guaranteed successes. But yeah, the top row, bracer and ring, mostly want to roll attack. Middle row, defense. Bottom row, HP. And also among all that, there's different types of gear. In the first world, you have attack gear. Second world, you have defense gear. Third world, you have HP. Fourth, I believe this is critical chance. fifth is crit defense, and this is regen. But essentially, the only 3 gears that really make a difference are attack, defense, and HP. Most of your attack units will have attack and defense gears, since attack requires 4 pieces of gear to get the bonus stat. Defense only requires 2 pieces. So out of 6 slots, you can get 4 attack gears and 2 defense gears and get both of the bonus stats for each. HP also requires 4 gear slots to get the bonus stat. Therefore, you can't run attack and HP together. Since each requires 4, you're only going to get the bonus stat from one of them. Another good way to gear your units is there's PvP gear. A lot of the gear from PvP is kind of worthless, except for the critical damage. And units that can take advantage of critical damage, have a high base crit damage or a high base crit chance, you maybe want to give them something like that instead of attack defense. For example, here's a set that I have that's attack and critical damage. Critical damage only requires 2 slots to get the bonus stat, therefore you can run it with a 4-slot attack. Yes, the gear is very confusing, and I hope this helps you guys. When you have someone, a tanky unit, like Deanne. Well, Deanne's actually a bad example, because a lot of people go with all defense gear on her, but you would want to put something on her like this. 2 defense parts and 3 HP parts. Or, excuse me, 4 HP parts. That ensures that you get the bonus stat from each type of gear. And when you have gear that you've rolled too much of and you don't need, you can go to the Boar Hat and visit Deanne. Just click on this broken sword on the left-hand side. Once you interact with Deanne, you'll be able to break down a lot of this gear into materials to enhance your gear. Normally for the SSR gears, I wait until an event to break those down as well. You'll notice I hoard a lot of stuff for events. That's probably pretty typical in this game. The gears, or excuse me, the mats for enhancing your gear are ores and stones. Let me find some gear that's not enhanced yet. Okay, here's a good one here. Okay, now I have these locked because I got a really good main stat roll on there. 503 out of 520. So basically, you have your standard gear levels and then you have the star level. No, that one's already at +5. Let's find something. But actually, I'll use one of these orbs. We'll use this HP orb. To get the gear to +5, normally you want to just auto click on 5, click the green button. For the first level of gear, you have a 100% chance of rolling the stat successfully, and that chance decreases the higher stars your gear. So once your gear gets up to 4 stars and you're rolling those last stats, you're only going to have a 10 to 20% chance at success. Now, see, I have it +5 now. Then what you're going to want to do is upgrade it with these blue stones. And that's going to give me +1, the 1 star. The desired substat on an orb is HP, so this is not the substat we want. So what you would do is click down here on these anvils to re-roll that stat. I don't have any anvils, so it's not going to work. even if you want to re-roll the stat, it's still okay to go ahead and level the weapon beyond the first star. You can still go all the way up to +5 again, and even further and further. You can re-roll all this stuff at a later time. Okay, this is actually really good. Since we missed that roll, what you have here is a little pity meter. Click on that, and it'll automatically give you, it'll automatically complete your chances to 100%. Once you run out of this, any failed completions will add back to the meter. Or the basic ore is required to level all the gear. Excuse me, wrong menu. This is your gear ore. You get it from random quests, and you also get it from breaking down gear, as I showed you earlier. Now, in order to get more stars on your gear, use another material, and it's these blue stones. In this game, you can use King to upgrade and break down certain leveling materials in the game. The stones you're going to need the most are the 1-star stones that are used for enhancing common gear, and the big boy stones right here, which are used to enhance SSR gear. The last stone, you need one of these to make an ultra rare gear, but that's not going to come until later in the game, and I'll do a separate guide on that. But if you guys have any questions, just let me know. Don't forget to subscribe. And also, I'll be streaming 7 Deadly Sins Global every weekday at 2 p.m. Eastern. So yeah, go give me a follow on Twitch as well, and I will see you guys next time. Thank you.